Hello and what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Miguel. You're watching Miguel EDC, the channel where we talk everything EDC gear here. And today we're doing a review on the Vosteed RSKAOS, right? This one is long overdue. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that. I got a chance to, a lot of you guys know, got a chance to pick up this guy for myself. This particular one right here, the Warncliffe with the natural tie for my birthday last year in December of 2023. I'm recording this November of 2024. So needless to say, I've been procrastinating and honestly, this is long overdue. But if you've been following the channel for any amount of time, I'm just going to say this right into the video at 46 seconds. I'm a huge fan. Obviously, I bought it for myself because I thought I was really going to love it. And then as soon as I got it, it's been one of my top favorites ever since. So obviously, I've carried this knife here for a long time. I've gathered plenty of feedback here throughout my entire carry. And recently, I got a chance to check out here via the pass around the model here with the sheep's foot, right? The black tie handle. So this is basically the other variant that this one would have been or is available in that you can pick it up. So I'll be sharing with you the good, the bad, the ugly, everything else you need to know about this knife in this video. As usual, all knives and every product that you see in my videos will be linked down below in the description and also in the pinned comments. So if you're interested in checking out prices, availability, variants, all those good things, all those things, the links will be in the description and the pinned comments. It does help out the channel when you use those links, but it's entirely up to you and at zero extra cost, right? So let's start things off here with some measurements as we typically do. The Warncliffe version of the RSKAOS is going to be a little bit longer. So overall length on this one is going to come in at, I'll tell you exactly right now, around close to 8.5, maybe something like 8.4. The sheep's foot is a little bit shorter at 8.25, right? So you can see there. Blade on the Warncliffe is 3.5. Blade on the sheep's foot is a little bit over 3.25, so maybe 3.3 inches. And both handles should be the same length, just a hair under 5 inches, like 4.9 or 4.95. There you go. So those are your measurements, right? Obviously, we're talking about a large size knife. Let's see if we can squeeze in here some comparisons along with some of my other EDCs here in the channel. Starting with the Spyderco Bros. Here is the Manix 2, right? It's going to be a little bit shorter, not by much. Here's the Yojimbo 2. That one is going to be a tad bit shorter as well. I mean, you can tell I love Warncliffe blades, right? Check it out here. The Yojimbo is also one of my all-time favorites as well. I mean, did I mention I like Warncliffe blades? Here is the Stitch, another one of my all-time favorites. Here is also a sheep's foot, right? Love sheep's foot blades as well. Here's the Microtech MSI, right? These are going to be a tad bit bigger, right? The Stitch is very comparable. The MSI, it's a little bit longer. I don't know if you guys got the hint, so let me show you some more sheep's foots. Again, these are some of my all-time favorite knives. There's the Demko AD 20.5. This is the Kunwu Chad over here. So the Chad is a little bit shorter. The 80-20.5 is obviously going to be a lot shorter. And more on the budget end of things, here we have the Civivi Vision FG, the Kizer Militaw. These are going to be a tad bit shorter. I mean, again, the Vosteed RSKAOS is a little bit of a large beast, right, to say the least. And finally, the CJRB Hectare Alt and the Vosteed Raccoon. So really good, recommendable budget EDCs, right? Can't recommend those enough. Again, all of these will be linked down below if you want to check them out. That being said, right, let's see, carry profile. Let's do something like thickness against something like the Manix 2, right? This guy's a little bit on the thick side, so it will be thicker than the Manix 2. Is it thicker than the Stitch? Let's find out. Definitely giving it a run for its money. Maybe the Stitch is a hair thicker. And of course, it will be thicker than the 80-20.5. Now, as far as carry profile, it actually carries pretty good. The blade does stick out a bit. You do have a pill-shaped hole there for deployment. So it's maybe a little bit less than something like the, let me see if I can fit them all here. The Manix 2, probably somewhere around the ballpark of the Demko AD 20.5. Kind of gives you an idea there. I mean, this will probably work better. So do something like this. Here we go. There we go. Let's use my whole screen real estate, Miguel. Like, what are you doing? You got all this space in here, right? There you go. That's a little better, right? What about something like the Chad, perhaps, right? More or less. The RSKAOS still a little bit wider. Same thing there next to the Civivi Vision FG. So, I mean, it carries a little bit bigger on the pocket, but that's expected because you have a pretty, decently large knife, to say the least. So let's talk materials here. As I mentioned, we have titanium on the handle. So you do have the option to pick and choose whatever variant you want. So you pick first, what handle do you want? Do you want the natural bee-blasted titanium? Do you want the black titanium here, right? And then you can choose the blade. Do you want a Warncliffe blade? Or do you want a sheep's foot blade, right? Do you also want it to be satin blade like it is on the Wharncliffe? Do you want it to be black wash? So, if you get the black version, obviously you're going to get black blade with a black handle. But, you kind of get a feel for what your different options are, right? You can get black or blasted titanium, right? And you can get a sheep's foot blade, which is what we have here with this guy. As you notice, it looks similar, but then, you got the Wharncliffe version right here as well. Both of these have that Savage dual ground. By the way, this is a RS Knife Works collaboration. And if you don't know anything about RS Knife Works, is that he loves to do dual ground and very savage, beastly looking blades. So check him out on IG if you haven't already. We do start with a thicker flat grind in this portion, and that becomes a little bit of a thinner flat grind here towards the front, a little bit of a taller flat grind there. And the same thing happens here on the sheep's foot version, right? It's no different, right? Dual flat grind going on there, which is very, very sweet. We do have M390 on the steel, which is very nice. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, there were some white mutton knife exclusive versions that had blue accents, even a blue pocket clip. And I do believe they had a whole different steel. I'll go ahead and put that on the screen here, which I can't remember right now. So future me, take note, those white mountain knife exclusives, what steel did they come in? All right, that being said, as far as action goes, guys, we have a plethora of different deployment options here. We got the flipper deployment, which, by the way, is nice and jip. So you can flip it, light switch it, or push button it. You can fail it if you push button it with not enough effort. So I always recommend light switching it every single time. That's going to be the best way. Of course, you do have, again, as I mentioned, it is a button operated liner lock. So you push this button, which is moving this liner out of the way. And as the knife opens, right, the liner locks in place just like that, which is pretty sweet. And then, of course, you can use the pill-shaped hole to reverse flick or thumb deploy, either of which is really, really nice. So yeah, I mean, as far as fidget factor goes, this one's got you covered, right? Definitely got that department covered. On the black version, you get the gold accents, right, and the gold pocket clip, which is pretty interesting as well. Vosteed, by the way, loves to do that whole black with gold accents, as you can see here on the Vosteed and Kylo, right? And this one has a very interesting pivot lock. So check out the review on this one if you haven't already. The Vanker lock, which is what they call it, it's very, very sweet. But yeah, aesthetics, if you like black and yellow, right? Vosteed, check out some of their models. They do a great job there. So yeah, very, very fidgety to say the least, right? Very drop shotty because there's enough weight on that blade. And if, of course, it's on ball bearings. You could have guessed that by now. I do like a lot of the personality that this knife has. And yes, I did just open it like a slip joint with both hands. But yeah, I love the personality. You have a lot of milling going on the handle. You got these diagonal lines going on, which are also present in the blade, right? So that the whole personality carries into the blade as well. So, I mean, that's very unique, right? They could have just made it a boring, plain titanium handle like so many other companies do, but instead they gave you a touch of personality and it's even present on the blade. That is nice. It also works as the jimping for the blade, which I noticed you do get 3 lines of jimping here. You get 3, 3, and 3. So the sheep's foot has the most jimping. You got 3 here, 3 here, and 3 there. And somehow, maybe because of the geometry, you get 2 and 2 on the Wharncliffe. What the thought process was there, I'm not sure. Maybe Rob is going to have to explain that one day. But yeah, you only get 2 and 2 here, and then you get 1, 2, 3. So maybe because you only get 2, that's why each of them is 2. And here you get 3, that's why, I don't know. Anyway, anyways, just kind of pointing out the difference, right? Some of you guys might be like, listen, I don't know which one to pick. They're both really good looking. I hear you, right? I sat there for a long time last year, really trying to find out, like, which one am I really going to go with? Which one is, the better option. So I definitely decided with the Wharncliffe, and I haven't looked back since, even though the sheep's foot one is also pretty sweet. So let's talk ergonomics for a moment. Obviously, you have plenty of handle here for bigger hands that have average size hands, not the biggest of hands or the smallest of hands. I'm able to get a full purchase with plenty of room there for a 6th finger if I had one. And if that wasn't enough and you got big old bear paws, guess what? You got a very nice finger choke here. You can forward choke on this thing all day, every day, and get some work done. This right here is where I live, right? I live on that forward choke every single time. I want to say 9 out of 10 times that I use this knife, I'm forward choking on it because that just feels the most natural to me. Not to mention, it works really good if you want to do like a little pinch grip like this and do your draw cuts, utility cuts, right? These are going to be some of the most utilitarian blades geometries that you can have for specific utility cuts and draw cuts like that. The tip is way below the pivot line right there, which is nice. So you can, get very specific with your cuts, very utilitarian in that sense. So very, very comfortable. Pocket clip, by the way, is nice and, has a very interesting shape to it. And it's also very comfortable too. So when you squeeze on it, you feel it there, but it's not uncomfortable at all, right? It's a good 9.5 out of 10. They didn't make it reversible for some reason, right? I'm not sure if they ever made a lefty version of this knife or not. I mean, as a righty, it doesn't make a beautiful show side of the knife handle, but of course, lefties out there exist. So hopefully they made a lefty version. Otherwise, the pocket clip is not reversible. One thing they definitely prioritized was that lanyard hole. I mean, you got a huge, that lanyard hole is almost competing with the opening hole. That's how big it is, right? And yeah, they gave you a lot there for lanyard solution for the 3 or 4 people out there who's still doing lanyards out there and things like that. But it's there, right? I kind of got used to it by now. Not a big deal. You do get a titanium sort of crown backspacer here, right? Kind of also lifts or raise. It's a little bit raised from the actual scales. So that's pretty nice there. It's actually pretty lengthy too. It wraps around here quite a bit. So that's also very, very nice. Let's do the blade stock thickness here. I want to say, is it any thicker on one model versus the other? I have it coming in here at 0.16. That's definitely thicker than the average 12 or 0.12 in the channel. Yeah, 0.16. That's a thick chunk of metal right there, right? Not the thickest by any overbuilt knife standards, but definitely thicker than average. Still pretty slicey, by the way. You'll see that in the scientific cutting test. Then as far as handle thickness is 0.55. All right, so that's a little bit thicker than the average 0.5 or half an inch here in the channel. So that's not bad. Good measurement there. As far as weight goes, is there any difference, right, with the Wharncliffe blade versus sheep's foot blade? I mean, I'm willing to bet the Wharncliffe weights just a hair more than the sheep's foot. So sheep's foot, here we go. Boom, 5.6 ounces or 5.7 if the scale makes up its mind. 160 grams, we'll call it 5.6. And the Wharncliffe version is, wow, okay, 5.5. What's going on here? Is it 5.5, 5.6? Right, somewhere in between. Definitely in that ballpark. 150, how many grams? 156, 57 grams. So that's very interesting, right? Very, very interesting that the sheep's foot version would actually weigh a tad bit more than the Wharncliffe version. Right? I think maybe it may have something to do with the milling on the handle, because otherwise, I think there's definitely more blade material, right, on the Wharncliffe version than the sheep's foot, right? Also, you do have a longer cutting path, right? So if I hold these next to each other right there, right, boom, that's about as line as I can get them. You can see the Wharncliffe is just a hair longer. Again, not a huge difference. You probably won't even notice at all. Also, you'll notice the edge on the Wharncliffe is a straight edge. You do get an ever so slightly amount of belly on the sheep's foot version, right? So yeah, that's again pointing out all the differences, because I really could have reviewed this knife a long time ago, but just now that I got the chance to check out the other sheep's foot model, I figured this is the perfect time to go ahead and get this review recorded. So the last thing we should do is probably do the hardware check. I do know, based on some other videos that I saw, I think some prototypes out there that were first sent out had T6. I do know, I know this from experience. Right now they have T8 everywhere except the pocket clip. So Vosteed obviously knows people want bigger hardware. So pivot is captive and is a T8. Body screws, right, T8 all around. And as I mentioned, the pocket clip is T6, which again, it's not even a reversible pocket clip. So you're probably only gonna, if you're ever gonna, if you're gonna do any pocket clip transaction, is to take it off all the way. Otherwise, you'll leave it as is. It's not the most deep carry, by the way. It does give you quite a bit there to pinch and pull out of the pocket. That's something to keep in mind. But yeah, I don't mind the T6 on the pocket clip at all, because I'm not even going to be swapping the pocket clip anyway. So it's going to stay where it's at, and it's okay if it's T6. Not a big deal. One thing to keep in mind about these knives too, I believe originally they were going to be called the Vosteed Mayhem. And then there was an issue with the naming, and I think maybe some other knife out there already had the Mayhem name. So I honestly think RSKAOS is a better name, because it actually plays off of the RSK or RS Knife Works, collaboration. So RSKAOS, I feel like it's a more fitting name. I definitely got used to it. And honestly, if you've been following this channel for any amount of time, you know I've featured this knife a ton here. Size comparison, premium value for dollar, whatever, you name it, it's been featured here on the channel at some point or another. And I absolutely love it. I'm trying to keep my biases out of the way. So one thing Vosteed does really good is pricing, guys. You got to keep that in mind. These are the top of the line, most premium knives from Vosteed, and you got titanium and M390, right? Take a guess at the price. Put it in the comments. And after you've done that, pause the video, put it in the comments, and then go ahead and play it again. This knife comes in at $250, right? $250, which actually pretty good. I mean, compared to a lot of other Chinese OEMs, right? Value for money, like the Kunwu Chad is somewhere on that ballpark, right? With titanium mill scales and PM60 steel. So it is actually a very competitive price, right? You look at something like the REA XOM, it's a gravity knife. It's around 280-ish, 290, right? It's titanium with 3V. So, I mean, I feel like value for money, right? Vosteed is really giving you a banger on this one. There's a lot of material here too. That's thick titanium, right? A thick blade, chunk of M390 there. So it's not like they're skimping out on what they're putting on the knife. And for $250, I mean, it's pretty much a banging deal. So obviously I got one for myself. I'm really happy and satisfied with this knife for my whole, basically, if you think about it, I've so far owned it for almost a year, since last December. It's almost, we're in November right now, so December is just a month away, and I've really been enjoying this thing a ton, right? So super fidgety. If you like bigger knives, right, you don't mind a little bit of an extra weight, right? You kind of like a little bit of the Savage build, if you would. I mean, this one is really good. Lock up is solid, no up and down, no side to side. Good alignment even after a whole year of use. And, the button operated liner lock is one of the safest locks you can have, right? Just to kind of give you some perspective, when Spyderco came up with the compression lock, right? It's the same idea here, right? You have a liner, but instead of being down here, like most knives are, they put it up here, right? Not only do they make it finger safe, so that your finger is nowhere close to where the blade is when closing the knife, but also creates a nice little lockup with the blade tang and that stop pin right there, so that's not going anywhere. The only thing though is, yes, after a while it was a little bit uncomfortable because of the way they made it, right? The way you pinch there just to close the knife. You would have to go aftermarket just to be able to find a button solution, or CME as a company out there for compression made easy, which made it so that you could, made your compression lock a little bit more comfortable. So Vosteed, well, basically fast forward all these years, their patent has expired from Spyderco, and now any company can do their own version of a compression lock. They just can't call it a compression lock. So it's still a liner lock, right, in its core, and they just added this button here, which just makes it so much more comfortable. I'd rather do this all day, every day, than do this. And don't get me wrong, I love compression locks and I love my Spyderco knives. It's just that Spyderco sort of left it for the aftermarket to fix it and make it better. Whereas Vosteed said, you know what, we're just going to make it the best version it possibly can be right from the start, right from the go. So that's what they've done here. So that's why I love this knife so much, man. That's one of the reasons. Very easy to, basically you take this out of your pocket, you do what you got to do, boom, close it, back in the pocket. You're not wasting a ton of time trying to really make sure you line up your finger the right way and whatever. It's just a more comfortable approach. Again, not to bash at the compression lock in any way, shape, or form. This is a much better implementation. Could Spyderco have done this years ago? Possibly, right? Possibly, but they had the patent on it. They didn't have any competition, so why would they? All right, just putting that out there. Some food for thought. Well, anyways, I love the button operated liner lock from Vosteed, and honestly, they have capitalized on it because this model and many other models have it, right? The Hedgehog also has that button operated liner lock on a smaller package. I love this thing, right? Really been checking it out here as well. The review for this one's coming up here very soon, so definitely subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. The Raccoon, for the longest, right? They made a crossbar lock version when the Axis lock patent from Benchmade expired, and I love the crossbar version. But guess what? They also made a button operated liner lock version of the Raccoon as well. So that's also pretty sweet, right? It has a different shape here. It's round with a little bit of grip milling going on there, which is nice. So love it in this implementation. Also love it in this implementation. They're just doing an awesome job. Vosteed through and through. They're just killing it. And the very first model to feature that button operated liner lock from Vosteed, at least that I know of, is the RSKAOS. So There you have it, guys. That's just some of the reasons why I love this knife so much. Again, just been really trying to keep all my biases out of the way, but it's really hard not to love something that is so well built, something that is so awesome, like the RSKAOS right here. Great value, right? Coming in at a good price. These are plenty available right now from what I know. I'll try to link to as many websites as I possibly can so you can pick one up if you're interested. So check the links in the description and also in the pinned comments. Also, it helps out the channel when you use those links, but that's entirely up to you and at zero extra cost, guys. Let me know what additional questions you have about the Vosteed RSKAOS. Let's hang out in the comment section down there. What other questions do you have? Let me know. Smash that like button if you got value out of this video or even entertainment. Hopefully, you really been enjoying this one. Hitting the like button helps this video reach a larger audience, helps the channel grow. Speaking of growing the channel, guys, if you love and enjoy knife and EDC content like this on a daily basis, please do consider subscribing. I promise you it'll be worth coming back for more. I make knife and EDC content like this on a daily basis. You will not be disappointed. You can also support the channel on Patreon or right here on YouTube by becoming a channel member. You'll get access to exclusive perks. If you like card content, check out my card channel right here on the left. Check out the unboxing on the Vosteed Raccoon, button-operated liner lock, and the Hedgehog right here. So I'll put cards for all these videos, one on the left, one on the right. If you made it to the end, you are the real MVP. Thank you so much for your love and support. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. And I'll catch you on the next video, either this one or this one. Peace.